How's it, guys? This is Dayvy FPL and welcome back to another Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video we're going to be talking about the Game Week 5 preview. Welcome back to the channel and to FPL in general. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this little bit of an international break that we've had and you've come back raring to go for the upcoming game week. Certainly I have. I've kind of used it to reset my mindset, and hopefully these upcoming game weeks are a lot better than the opening game weeks that we've had. All this unpredictability was messing with my mindset a little bit, but hopefully we strapped in and ready to go, and that's what we'll be talking about in this Game Week 5 preview. In this preview video, the main topic is going to be Harry Kane versus Heung-min Son. The Spurs kind of double up that a lot of people are looking at. If you're on your wild card, you're probably looking at having both of them, but if you're not on your wild card, who should you get? Who's the better option for our FPL teams? We'll then be looking at captaincy finally and looking at the best captaincy options to go by, and in the middle of that, we're also going to be looking at who has the best upcoming fixtures in the next 5 game weeks. So if that's something you're interested in, sit back, relax, and let's get into it. So a new season calls for a new sponsor, but here on the Dayvy FPL channel, we like our old. So I've brought back the old sponsor, OneFootball, but with a completely new revamped app. Yes, OneFootball has gone over a complete marketing revamp, new logo, new everything. I've checked it out, looks really good. They kind of took the old app, but just made it better. So I'm really appreciative of that. If you want to go check them out, link down in the description below to go download the app. If you don't know who they are, they're the biggest app on iOS and Android. So go check them out. I personally use them, so I can recommend them from a personal level. So before we get into the preview, as we usually do, I wanted to give you guys a reminder of what's been happening in these 2 weeks. So we had a lot of international games, but we're also having a lot of positive tests. Naby Keita, if you don't know, has been tested positive, so he'll be missing the next upcoming game weeks, and I doubt that that's going to be the last one. So my recommendation would kind of be to keep those transfers for as long as possible, maybe even till that deadline, because I'm pretty sure on that Saturday we're going to be getting a lot of news in the morning about potential positive tests and players that are going to be out. It could be any single player, even if they're fully fit. We have a lot of players that are traveling outside of Europe into other continents, so just keep your eyes on that because there's going to be a lot of positive tests I can kind of foresee. So the watch list has been updated. We still have one player that has been in this watch list for about every single preview, and I think that kind of tells me that I need to bring him in my team. It's going to be Calvert-Lewin. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be this game week because they do face Liverpool. I know Liverpool against Aston Villa, which is why Jack Grealish is on here, didn't have a really good defensive performance, so you're probably fancying your chances of a Calvert-Lewin goal against them, but I just can't seem to bring myself to bring him in this game week, and I could look at bringing him in next game week 100% for maybe Timo Werner if he doesn't bang again against Southampton. Calvert-Lewin has had yet another price rise, a 0.2 price rise, so he's currently at 7.6 million, and that's because he scored 6 goals in 338 minutes. The high scorer in the Premier League at the moment, in absolutely sensational form for not only club but country, was caught up to England and managed to score his debut goal for them, so really looking like a player in form. The next 2 players are probably knee jerk nation here, both 2 players that are really good game week 4. We have Callum Wilson here and Jack Grealish. So Callum Wilson in a Newcastle side that haven't been playing the best football, but in the last game week played quite well, comes in at 6.4, so a nice budget option in that forward line, and has managed 4 goals and 1 assist. The nice thing about Callum Wilson is that he is on penalties as well, so penalties a massive talking point about this FPL season because there've just been so many of them, and if he can stay on those penalties, I reckon there's going to be a couple more goals coming up for Callum Wilson. Now with Callum Wilson, the same situation with Calvert-Lewin, probably not going to be a transfer in this game week as Newcastle have tough fixtures for the next 3, but in game week 8 they got a nice run of green fixtures, and I definitely can see myself bringing him in there if I need a budget striker in that forward department. Then the last player is going to be Jack Grealish there. Got the captain armband on there, captain fantastic against Liverpool, currently on 3 goals and 3 assists, which is absolutely sensational. Most of those came in game week 4 against Liverpool, but at 7.1 million, a nice budget option to go by, especially because a lot of us are looking at Harry Kane and Heung-min Son, so maybe if you need a budget midfielder, he can slot right in there. He's a great player, world-class player, and as I said, going to play every minute, so that's definitely going to equal some FPL points. Aston Villa's fixture is also quite nice. We'll talk about them a little bit later on in the preview, as I am looking at them for some more budget options in the defense and also in attack. So this is the watch list. We've brought some players in, took some out, but I definitely think the budget options in that forward department are definitely where it's at. We looked at Callum Wilson and Calvert-Lewin here. We also have some other players like Morpay from Brighton who are looking quite good, but we just couldn't fit all those players on. But maybe they'll feature in the watch list next game game week. So the main talking point of this video and of the Game Week 5 preview is going to be Harry Kane versus Heung-min Son. So obviously Spurs have been playing absolutely sensationally. I've had a couple of weird fixtures. I think the Man United fixture and maybe the Southampton fixture are swaying our minds a bit. Those fixtures are quite weird, but maybe that's how this Premier League season is going to be going, with these massive scorelines, 6-1s, 5-0s, 4-0s. So maybe Heung-min Son and Harry Kane are going to be quite good players to bring in. But right off the bat, I wanted to ask you guys to just look at the spider web diagram we have here of the stats and their comparison, and just maybe guess which player and which color correlate to each. So you probably maybe have said that Heung-min Son is going to be the one in blue because of those big chances created and that expected assist, but no, that's actually Harry Kane. So Harry Kane is in blue and Heung-min Son is in red. So Harry Kane basically destroys Heung-min Son on every single stat besides big chances. I don't really care about key passes and crosses. We're looking at the main stats here. So big chances is in favor of Heung-min Son. The interesting thing about it is that although Harry Kane has had less big chances, he has the higher XG, which shows that although those big chances aren't as many, there are better big chances that Harry Kane is getting. But then with big chances created in XG, last season we always joked about how Harry Kane has suddenly become a midfielder, and this just kind of proves it. He's becoming a midfielder, yeah, the supplier, but then also he's getting the more attacking returns. So it's almost hard to say no to Harry Kane, but that's probably what I'll be doing. I kind of favor Heung-min Son a little bit. From a stats point of view, Harry Kane blows Heung-min Son absolutely out the water, but because of these more assisting threats, I kind of think that Heung-min Son's going to be on the end of those assists and hopefully getting some more FPL points. I think Heung-min Son's also a little bit more favorable in my opinion because he is cheaper. You're kind of paying 1.6 extra for Harry Kane, but if you're kind of an FPL player that goes on stats, I think it's quite hard to not say yes to Harry Kane. I think this debate extends a little bit more from the stats that we're talking about in the upcoming talking point, but if you look at stats, expected points, expected goals, expected assists, and big chances on Harry Kane's side, and also shots and shots on target. So Harry Kane, although he isn't that kind of midfield slot that people are talking about, he still definitely is in the box and getting shots out. I mean, just look at the shot stats compared to Heung-min Son. Harry Kane is still getting an absurd amount of shots and shots in the box. So I definitely think in the upcoming game weeks he's going to turn those into goals and should hopefully leapfrog Heung-min Son, but you still are paying that 1.6 premium. So from a stats point of view, Harry Kane is definitely the better option, but I think Heung-min Son, in my personal opinion, just swings it a little bit because of that budget. So the next thing I wanted to talk about, as I said, this kind of extends past that whole stats debate. We're going to be looking at the midfielders and the forward. So why I favor Heung-min Son personally is because I think there's a lot of forwards, especially in that budget department, that are performing quite well compared to other midfielders. We can see Calvert-Lewin there, Wilson, Morpay, Bamford, even Danny Ings comes in a little bit more expensive but is performing quite well. And then we have Ollie Watkins, who had an absolutely sensational performance against Liverpool, who should hopefully replicate that form in the upcoming game week. So we have some really nice budget options to go by, whereas in the midfield department, although we have some budget options like Zaha, James Rodriguez, I'm not going to classify Jorginho here because he is kind of a pen merchant and I don't think even he would kind of go against that. We still have more midfield slots than striker slots. So although we have some midfield options such as Grealish and James Rodriguez, we can fit them in because we have 5 midfield slots, whereas those 3 forward slots are going to be really highly contested, and I think I would rather favor a more budget forward line, fitting in Salah and Son and Grealish, and then maybe kind of stretching my midfield and going for some cheaper options that aren't performing quite well. You could also argue that the midfielders, there's a lot more that are performing right now, but I spoke about that with the 5 slots versus the 3 slots. So I personally favor Heung-min Son, but I think that kind of the sweet spot to go for would be getting both of these. If you're on a wild card, I definitely think I'd be getting both Son and Kane, as they've been performing better than any of their rivals. And the thing that I kind of look at here is there's no Man City, no Man United players. I know they've played 3 less fixtures, but I mean, even Jack Grealish here playing 3 fixtures above them. So I definitely think that those teams haven't hit the form right now. So I would probably favor Son and Kane, then maybe a De Bruyne and a Sterling, because of those upcoming fixtures, especially for Spurs, that are looking a lot better than Man City's. So I said we'll be talking about the best fixtures over the next 5. So I covered 3 teams here, and I also wanted to cover these 3 teams because they are on the more budget side of things. So we've spoken about Son, Kane, even Salah. We're going to have some premium options and also some budget options that make it able to afford these more premium options. So Aston Villa, Crystal Palace, and Fulham have really nice fixtures over the next 5. I chose the next 5 because I think it's a good kind of indication. We don't want to plan too far ahead, but Crystal Palace have nice fixtures for a couple of fixtures after Game Week 10 even. So kind of the surprise package is probably going to be Fulham here. Fulham are absolutely dreadful, definitely the worst team in the Premier League at the moment, but they do have some nice fixtures coming coming up. I think I can only kind of recommend Mitrovic because he's kind of that main talisman for them. Definitely wouldn't be recommending a defensive option for them. If you are a Mitrovic owner like myself, I'm probably going to hold on to him for about game week 8, and then I'll switch him out for Antonio because West Ham fixtures kind of turn then. So that's kind of a popular transfer that's been recommended in the FPL community at the moment, is bringing in Antonio after that a kind of rough patch that West Ham have currently because they've just been playing so well, and Antonio has been on another level as well, kind of continuing the form he had from last season. But then Crystal Palace as well, if you're looking at Zaha or even you want to play a player like Mitchell, I don't think that's the worst decision in the world because Crystal Palace overall defensively haven't been that bad at the start of the season, and I think that Mitchell coming in at 4.2 allows you to maybe bench a player with a worse fixture and he can still get some clean sheet points. Then Aston Villa, we spoke about Jack Grealish. I also think that Martinez is a great option from a defensive point of view, and you can also look at maybe a Tyrone Mings if you want to slot in another cheaper alternative. We also have the wing backs from Aston Villa, Cash and Target, who've been playing quite well, so you could also look at them, but I definitely think Jack Grealish and maybe a Watkins is where it's at from an attacking point of view. So finally, we're going to be talking about captaincy. So from a fixture point of view, I think this game week is going to be quite tough. There's a lot of tough fixtures happening. A lot of the more premium sides are playing tougher opposition, which probably makes it a little bit easier from a captaincy point of view, because if your player has a favorable fixture, you're probably just going to go for them. I think that favorable fixture is definitely West Ham at home for Spurs. So if you own Harry Kane or Heung-min Son, I definitely will be looking at them. I know that West Ham themselves have actually been in quite good form in this FPL season, but I definitely think Spurs have as well. So I'm favoring Spurs here. It might not be a 4-0 or a 6-1, but I definitely think a comfortable win for Spurs here. So that's why I'm favoring Harry Kane and Heung-min Son. Then I think my second favorite captaincy option is going to be Salah. I really favor Salah against Jordan Pickford. Hopefully I haven't jinxed that there, but I think from a defensive point of view, Everton haven't been as great. From an attacking point of view, they've been absolutely superb, but from a defensive point of view, they haven't been great, and this is coming from a Coleman owner. I've owned him since game week 1, so I know that he's only returned 1 clean sheet since the start of the season. So I definitely think that Liverpool are favorable against Everton. I think it's going to be quite a close game, but I do think that Salah can score in this one, and I definitely think it's the safe captaincy option to go by. And then finally, we have KDB or Sterling against Arsenal. Now, Arsenal against the top 6 sides kind of have a history under Arteta of parking the bus a little bit. I think that's probably what's going to happen in this game. They're going to play that famous 5 at the back, and I can kind of see this game being Man City having all that possession and kind of Arsenal parking it at the back. But we kind of know that against those sides, Man City don't usually do that well. Against sides that sit quite deep, they haven't been that effective at breaking those teams down. So I think this game's going to be quite a close one, but kind of the hope I have is if Man City get a goal at the start of the game, it's going to open that game up right away, and then maybe it could go for a comfortable Man City game. But I definitely think I'd be looking at either a Spurs option or a Liverpool option this week. So this is going to wrap up the video, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy it. Please don't forget to like it if you did, and subscribe if you're new or have not subscribed yet. I'll be checking you guys in the team selection coming up on later in the week, otherwise on my Twitter at DayvyFPL. I'm going to be signing off. This has been DayvyFPL, and I'm out. Cheers, bye.